DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Today our guest is Dr. KC Olson. Dr. Olson is a nutritionist here at Kansas State University, and we've always wanted to do a show talking about body condition score and what you should be looking for in thin cows to manage your herd.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses and rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery, and so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously. So I'm tickled to death with the results, and I'd recommend this process to anyone.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways, of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays, and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. We have one of our regulars, Dr. KC Olson. And the reason why you're a regular is because you have common sense, you're practical, and you're smart.
Okay, high praise, but I'm also, for most of you, more than 100 miles from home, so I can officially be an expert.
True. But he's a good friend, colleague, scientist, nutritionist, stockman, and he doesn't just talk about it, he does it. And so Dr. KC Olson, here from the Department of Animal Science and Industry, we want to talk about body condition score. We want to talk about, and as I described, we talked about this earlier, we want to talk about, okay, when I go out and look at my cows, what should I be looking at?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to pick out a skinny cow visually, right? You can tell the difference between skinny and okay looking. But body condition at its crux is all about the flesh, the subcutaneous flesh that's covered in bone structure. If you're really good, you can develop a pretty close eye for the degree of flesh that's around structures like shoulders, rib cage, withers. But most of us are not that good. I wouldn't count myself in that company. Body condition scoring, though, is a critical piece of managing a cow-calf herd. Yeah, we know there's a direct link, right, between nutritional reserves of a female and her ability to get pregnant. Okay, if they don't get pregnant, they're not paying us. And so as we approach calving and as we approach the breeding season, we want body condition score to be not fat, but we want it to be at least moderate. She needs to look like an athlete or feel like an athlete as she approaches those two things. Now the tough part, okay, is that when we need her to hold her condition the most, she's least capable of doing it.
Right.
Fetal growth during the last third of gestation is logarithmic. Something like 60 to 80% of fetal weight accrues during the last 60 days of pregnancy. So she's feeding that calf in utero. And as soon as the calf comes on the outside, okay, then she's got to ramp up milk production. And milk has an even greater expense to her metabolically than growing the calf in utero.
Yeah.
So if we're not in good condition going into calving season, we have limited opportunity to catch up before the next breeding season is going to be upon us.
So, we have about a minute before break. So we want to back that body condition score determination well before we get into winter or before we get into the last trimester.
That's right. It takes forethought. Now, in my mind, the most valuable times to assign a body condition score are at the point of weaning, so you got a long time to make an adjustment if you need, and immediately before everybody starts calving, so you know where you're at.
Great information. We're going to talk more about this here on DocTalk. We have Dr. KC Olson. We'll be right back. Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Welcome to Cattle First, as sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim Vet Medica. And the term today, biosecurity. Biosecurity is security. It's like having a bouncer that keeps pathogens out and keeps disease out of your herd. One of the best tools you can use for biosecurity is a proper vaccination program, and work with your veterinarian on that. The second one is introduction of new animals. And when we bring new animals on the farm, making sure that if there's a disease that is important that we test for, that we have that done prior to bringing them on the premise. And if they haven't been, then we have a place to quarantine them until we can get the diagnostics back, I think is vitally important. Talking to your neighbors as cattle lean across the fence and communicate with each other, making sure that you have a community-wide biosecurity plan and vaccination plan, vitally important. Keep the disease out, be the bouncer.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. KC Olson, and we're at Kansas State University, where Dr. Olson is a professor in ruminant nutrition and cow range management.
Something like that.
spends a lot of time out on our Konza Prairie, a lot of time out working with people across this country on cow nutrition. And KC, we're talking about body condition scores, and we talked about the timing. So now we decided let's talk about the how-to and how we record it.
Sure enough. And I'd say for probably 90% of the cow-calf producers out there, body condition scoring is not a routine part of record keeping, but it does have a lot of value if you can sort of train yourself how to go through the mechanics of it. I said before the break that at the point of weaning is a good time to catch a body condition score, and maybe a month or two before calving starts is another good time to catch it. Because if you find some females that are in bad shape, you need to give them nutritional help before calving season ever comes around.
Yeah.
So as those cows are in the chute for normal processing purposes, in about 5 seconds, okay, you can assign a body condition score. You can do it with your eyes, you can do it with your hands. I definitely prefer the latter. Poor lighting, a heavy winter hair coat, different structure from animal to animal can mask true body condition. Even something like gut fill. If you've, for example, penned cows up for 12 hours before you work them, they will shrink and they will give you an erroneous visual body condition score. So I use my hands, I use the withers, the rib cage, and the tail head. Those are my landmarks, but you can use other ones as well. And all you really need to do is tell the difference between adequate and inadequate. So when you assign body condition scores, you're really telling yourself, and making a record of it, you're really telling yourself, okay, this group of cows needs some nutritional help, and I'm going to manage them differently than this group of cows that doesn't need any additional help.
And I think it's important, there's so many times it's kind of like we get stuck in these gradients, okay, of normal or gradients of abnormal. And I think that you simplified it by they're either adequate or they're not. And we get into this thing, like our annual review, meets expectations high, exceeds expectations. If you're above the line,
right,
we're going to keep you on.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. We George Bush it, right? What I'm trying to say is, and so I think that it's important for y'all to understand what Dr. Olson is saying, adequate or inadequate.
And what does inadequate feel like? Okay, when you can feel bone structure without much hand pressure, you've got a problem. And there's some artful things that you can do to differentiate between body condition score 7 and 6, but all you're really feeling for or looking for is thinness.
Yep. And if we're too thin, it just starts to be a trickle-down effect of inefficiency within the herd.
Right. I call it the cascade of bad news. So calving difficulty is much more likely. Calf health and passive immunity are likely to be compromised. Maybe even calf survival. And if all those things are true, that female is not going to be able to return to estrus post-calving the way that she should.
It's perfect. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll be right here at Kansas State University with Dr. KC Olson.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families in rural Kansas for more than 100 years. We're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau Health Plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. KC Olson. We're at Kansas State University, where Dr. Olson is a professor of range cow nutrition and range management, does a lot of work with our production herds and cow herds. And KC, we were talking about body condition score.
We were. And with that description of what I do, it might sound like I'm unemployed. If it takes longer than 10 seconds to describe what somebody does, they're probably unemployed, right?
He's not unemployed. He's more than employed. So when do we, how can we make a change?
All right.
So how do we fix it? We have a problem, so how do we fix it?
I mentioned those two critical times when body condition scores can have management value. Of the two, far and away, the best one is the one that you take at weaning. Because when you diagnose thinness at that point, you've got a lot of time before late gestation kicks in. And what we're talking about doing is managing differentially. So adequate goes one direction, they get one nutritional regime. Inadequate goes another direction, maybe another pasture, another dry lot. They get a stouter nutrition regime at that point. It can be really handy to think about body condition in terms of weight. So most recent nutrient requirements of beef cattle told us that for the average cow, a body condition change, say going from a 4 to a 5, is worth about 100 pounds of body weight. So if you diagnose a cow at a body condition score 3, 90 days before late gestation, and you know you want her to be a 5 going into late gestation, you got to put on 200 pounds of weight in 90 days. It's possible to do that, but you can see how important the element of time is here.
Right.
When you got to affect a weight change or a body condition change, you need time to do that inexpensively.
And it's severity in time, right?
Yeah.
And so really getting back to that point in time of weaning or when you can do something about it is important.
It is. And also, with regard to weaning, a good question to ask if you've got just a handful of cows that look thin compared to everybody else is why. We in the fall generally will assign body condition scores, and then we'll mouth cows to see if that provides any diagnostic value as to why she is thin. If she doesn't have her incisors, she's not going to be able to process a rough diet very effectively while you're trying to put weight back on her.
Yeah, and I can, so looking at teeth, lameness, just a good physical exam of that cow and will tell you quite a bit.
It will, and it really doesn't add anything to processing time either. If the person who's running the head catch, for example, can go ahead and run his hands over that cow a little bit, make an evaluation, that adds maybe 5 seconds to the process, while somebody on the other side of the chute is deworming or giving a vaccine.
Yeah, let them run their hand across the back before you pour them. True,
yeah.
Not as big a deal today as it was back in the day when we were using the organophosphates hot and heavy, but it is what it is. Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will be here with Dr. KC Olson wrapping up what we do with body condition score, with the information, we fix the problem, and how we prevent the problem from happening. Thanks for watching.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
We got Sammy, and then my husband died, and she was everything for Kira. That's why she's more than a horse to us, and why it was so important that we try and do everything we can to get her healed.
There's plate-rich fibrin's been out there a long time, but the way we've designed and patented it is completely different. There's nothing like it on the market, and because we're able to develop ourselves, we can now offer it to veterinarians for a really reasonable price. Not only do we conceive, develop, and patent our own products, but all our products is backed 100% by science. We usually, almost in every case, have taken them to Kansas State University, and they do our trials for us. They do our science behind it, because we want you to know that it's just not another product. We're in this for the long run.
The difference that I saw in that horse from 45 days ago, the depressed look, the dull hair coat, I mean, that horse was walking on eggs. That mother and daughter thought that it might be the last time they see that mare. 45 days later, the hair coat, the attitude of the horse, the set of the ears, the unimpeded gait, and the actual look and the heel even shocks me. And I had a lot of confidence that it would work.
Everything that they've done, all of the people who have been a part of this situation, I cannot thank enough. And I'm so grateful.
It has been a very long journey. I just wanted her to be able to be a horse again, and to be able to even ride her anymore is just amazing.
To watch Kira ride that horse, I have to tell you, anything about business or politics or universities or our company, it goes out the window. I mean, we gave that girl her friend back, and we did it because we know what regenerative medicine can do if you'll use it and just get out of its way and let it do what it does.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. I'm here with Dr. KC Olson, and Dr. Olson is a professor in animal science. There, under 10 seconds.
Very good. I have a job.
He's a nutritionist, and we're talking about body condition score. We're talking about cow condition, and as I thought about it, let's just talk a little bit about, hey, what are some of your big things, big ticket items of preventing the problem from happening?
Okay. Well, you know, body condition is like a bank account. You can make deposits, you can make withdrawals, and during the production cycle, that's normal. It's normal for cow weight, cow condition to cycle. Okay, it's going to be at a low ebb generally, near peak lactation. It should be at a fairly low ebb around weaning time, but during mid-gestation, okay, when cows' nutrient requirements are low, when fetal growth doesn't have much of a tax to exact from the mother, I mean, that's the time that we can add condition very inexpensively. But don't make any mistake about it. Body condition can be an absolute tyrant for you if you're a cow-calf producer and you calve, not in the spring, but in the late winter. That model of production kind of forces your hand, forces you to be on top of body condition all of the time. Now, I'm going to say this probably more than once, but the easiest way to manage body condition score, don't let them calve until they got green grass under their feet. A natural reconditioning process that goes along with seasonally appropriate calving can be a huge cost savings to most cow-calf operators.
And that is because we don't have to supplement, right?
Yeah, or as much.
As much.
with our commercial cow herd here at Kansas State University, they were for many years February, March calving. They had fairly mediocre reproductive performance, and we were always fighting the body condition score tyrant. In 2006, we moved 60 days rearward. We started calving in April and May, and we saw two big changes. Number one, our feed bill went down significantly. Number two, reproductive performance of those cows with one change improved substantially. And we like it so much that 2 years ago, we went from an April-May season to a May-June season, believe it or not. I've never been happier with the economic performance of that group of 350 to 400 cows than I am today.
It's kind of like I tell the students, there's a reason why deer they have a 5-month gestation, and there's a reason why they go into rut in November.
That is a pretty good way to think about it.
And they have their fawns when there's green grass. Mm-hmm. And it's not by accident. It's the way the good Lord in Detroit designed them. and so, if you think about that with our cows, there's some obviously we know the purebred deal and different types of herds and different production.
Yeah, it's not going to fit everybody, and you obviously do give up something on the weaning side of the equation. My experience has been the net of the situation has more value for the way I prefer to run things with a seasonally appropriate calving season and a relatively young weaning age. The net for that is better for me than a heavier calf at weaning and having to deal with the body condition score tyrant.
It's awesome. Thank you very much.
It's good to be here, Dan.
It's always good to have Dr. KC Olson. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian and nutritionist. And if you want to know more about DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. KC Olson. We'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com.
DocTalk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.